Yeah, perfect. So let's call the meeting to order here. Um, and the first thing that we need to do is approval of the July minutes. So is there anyone who has anything that they want to add to that or any changes that need to be made for the minutes from July? Not hearing anything. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Everybody in favor? Aye. All right, excellent. So minutes are approved. Next up, public comments. Don't see anyone there. Is there anyone hiding in amongst those seats back there?
No.
All right. Looks like not. So we will hold that for now at least, and move into project updates. It looks like the first thing on our agenda here is sustainability. So
Yeah, I can provide the update there.
yeah, please.
The third and final session for that student group who will be helping us happened the other week. So they just filled us in for the fall semester. We're going to be working on completing an inventory for our greenhouse gas emissions. And then moving into the spring semester, they're going to help us build a document, whether we decide we would like them to help with a climate action plan or a community survey or other types of planning documentation. We'll be able to discuss that internally and help guide the direction for that. Right now, McCandless has provided the organization with the data requests necessary so that they can reach out to the utilities, get our information. School is starting up here in a couple of weeks, so they're going to assign students to us and they're going to be helping us and working closely to do this very exciting work that is super time consuming. So that's the update there.
Great. Is there a like an ETA on that or anything, or is it just at some point during the semester?
So they start up on the 25th, and then a week or so before that, we're going to be introduced to our student partners. We're going to have regular communication with them. So that's going to be ongoing. We're not quite sure of the cadence. It's up to the town and the students to work together to see what we prefer, whether we want to meet by phone or by Zoom or just through email and communicate that way. So it is going to be regular communication throughout the semesters.
And one of the things they mentioned too, the timing is also going to be tricky because the utility companies are basically going to supply the data on their schedule. So that could be up in the air a little bit as well.
That's part of why they request historic data.
Yeah.
Although I think we're doing 2024, not 2025.
Okay, that's a lot easier then.
Yeah.
I have a friend who's in administration at Duquesne Light, and they are very far behind on a lot of things because of the storm season we had in the spring. They're still catching up from that, so a lot of their personnel is still doing that.
Yeah, that's good to be aware of too.
Yeah.
But they'll work with what they have, and
Mhm.
there are always gaps, and when that happens, you just make assumptions. So,
Okay. Great.
any other questions?
None from me. All right, excellent. Let's jump to Rain Garden, Joanna.
All right. So if you go up there right now, there's a lot of really pretty things blooming. I don't know from Brad if all of the spring done, but it does look like some of it has been done, and it's beyond just the rain garden. But if you look at the Japanese knotweed that was on the hill in the park in general, it does look like quite a bit of it has been both chopped down and sprayed somewhat recently. So it does look really good up there as far as the spraying, taking care of the Japanese knotweed. And they were thankfully very conservative in the amount that they did. It's mainly in like the ending part down by the sidewalk is where most of the Japanese knotweed was. So they didn't knock down anything or do any cutting down as you're getting down towards like the Heritage Center and things. So there's that. The other thing I want to bring up, and this is more of a question for Trish, has to do with, I have heard rumor that they were looking at putting lights in that parking lots, which I understand from a safety standpoint, like if you're coming out of the Heritage Center. But then I also worry about the light pollution, what that does for the pollinators for that area, because we have put a lot of effort into a lot of the plants and everything
they'll
going in there.
Be on timers. They won't be
Yes.
on all night.
Yeah, okay, that's the main thing I wanted to
yeah.
double check. Like, as long as there's like a switch or a timer or something, that's
Yeah.
fine. Or if you're using
I
it,
think it's like during Heritage Center hours, like during the winter, if they have programming that goes until 9 o'clock at night, they would want to have the parking lot safely lit.
yes, and that totally makes sense and I understand that, but wanted to make sure it's not on all,
Right.
especially during the summertime. In the winter, don't have to worry as much, but
I will send a note along
Okay.
that line just to be double
Just
check it, but.
Be somewhat aware that one of our public commenters, that's one of her big things is the light pollution.
Yeah.
Just being aware of that.
Yeah, we heard from a lot of the public when there was consideration of the sign outside as well
Mhm.
on light pollution.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of them, but I do think, I mean, when we leave here and I drive past the ambulance facility, I mean, those lights are crazy. I don't know how anybody can see, but, I mean, do you know what kind of lighting they are considering in that parking lot?
Don't recall.
It's hopefully down lighting.
I think.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
It's for the people walking from the
right,
Heritage Center to their vehicle.
yeah.
Is the purpose of it. It's not to draw attention or anything like that.
Lighting up the ball field.
Yeah.
Now, they're not lighting the soccer fields or anything like that.
No, I'm talking
It's just
about
parking lot.
EMS, you know, all those lights point out, they don't point down. Like, have you not ever noticed that?
I've not noticed it, but if that'd be something to, and they
Yeah.
lease the space from us. We don't control that facility.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's something to consider,
Mhm.
but yeah, so I would say, I think you're talking about Ellen, is that, yeah. Yeah, but I think as a committee, we should care about light pollution. Okay.
Mhm.
But I just mean that.
Yeah.
That don't think it's coming out of the left field if there's a comment about it,
Oh, yeah. I think
just
it's-
being aware of it.
Mhm, yeah. So your pollinators will be safe.
Well, I'm not sure the difference anymore with what type of lighting they use, whether it's LED or whether it's, because different things throw off different spectrums.
Right.
And I'm not sure,
I believe all the lights that they've started switching out to in the ball fields have been LED. So I don't know for sure, but I would guess it's gonna be
it uses
LED.
less energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
As
Anything
Christine
else
has-
about the rain garden?
that's about it, yeah. I think we're good.
Cool. All right, Bernie, let's go on to you for the tree program updates.
Okay, so I have a fully executed agreement with Tree Pittsburgh that was signed off by John Schwend and gang here at the staff. And it is for the tree adoption, which would happen on October 18th, the same day as our tree tenders. The tree tenders program on October 18th, it's a Saturday, will run from 9 to 3. And then the tree adoption will go from 3 to 5. So we'll do 2 hours. We're only at this first time looking at just 100 trees, and the Canlis has agreed to underwrite that, though I'm still going to try and get sponsorship up to and including, so Duquesne Light today, right? I talked with them about their role with, they have a program called Right Tree, Right Place. So as you all know, I've been talking to them for a while about what could we do. So I've asked them to bring that, you know, we're at odds with them. I mean, I talked to now Penn Power and Duquesne Light, and Duquesne Light is certainly more aggressive in removing mature trees than Penn Power. Having talked with both vegetation groups, so Penn Power is willing to do a tree planting in the spring, you know, possibly 200 trees. I mentioned to Liz about this, you know, at the Penn State event. She said she may be able to clear this fall room for a 200 tree planting in, you know, her area. So that would be something we'd, you know, try to angle for as part of the schedule for next year. But for right now, you know, I was trying to recruit Duquesne Light. Their vegetation management folks have been traditionally very aggressive with removal of mature trees. So, you know, I've talked to them about the fear people have about trees now. Anyway, so they're going to join us on that October 18th event. both for the tree tenders as well as the tree adoption. And we'll try to do, they're gonna engage with us on the education, the guy who runs vegetation. And I'm trying to get him to see a balance of interest and not just, only what they want all the time. So anyway, I think it was a successful call today. And then I've also asked for their sponsorship for the plantings. And they're amenable to that. They're just don't want it to be so significant that they're not considering all their other municipalities, because as we know, they're not the only one here. But anyway, so we'll see what their response is. But they canceled on me a couple of times, so I insisted I talk to them today, so we had an update from them today. But he's a Penn State arborist, the gentleman who runs vegetation management for them. And because they're playing in Iowa that day, he's willing to come. So I know, anyway, because if not, he wouldn't be available. So, but I think I have been working, so we met with Jeff, John, Diane, and I all met with John Schwend, had a conversation about how to view this program. And I mean, you never report out on this stuff, but anyway, but he essentially said, they're supportive of this initiative and what we're doing. As you know, John has ideas as to what he'd like to do too. He wants us to be a tree city. So what I've been working on, so I crashed my computer and it did not recover. There's no recovered documents other than 2 of them. I know, so I went back to my chat original files, but they're not updated. But I am happy to kind of forward to everybody, like, this is kind of what I did as a quick, what it would look like. So I ran a whole strategic plan through chat, mission, vision, how we'd do it, kind of explaining to the public, how we would, publish and communicate it. So this is, I had done edits on this though, and that's what I lost, and I'm kind of bummed out because this was hard to edit. So, and mainly because, but the goal for 26 would be only 1,000 trees to plant. So I see running it over that 10-year window. If we can get Penn Power to do the 200, and then obviously the goal is to launch by January the GPS, if not sooner. We talked about launching kind of a whole map system and kicking this off. But I have an entire strategic plan. This was the summary of it, which was the high points, but so I have a longer document, and that's what didn't get recovered. I have the original one that showed the wrong dates and the wrong projected quantities, so I will figure out what happened to that file and get them updated and get them to you. But I think the most significant part of the conversation with John Schwend had to do with budget. He asked for a budget. And so that was part of what was in the strategic plan, was a projected budget and budget categories. Nope, that's not it. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I mean, literally as I was walking out the door, it crashed. I tried reopening the files and they're not here, but I do have a file with a projected budget. I think the problem is I have about 600 files on this. But if I got to the budget, it's about $1 million, it's like 900,000 over the 10 years. And yeah, but there are grants that we can apply for, corporate donations, there's kind of a whole host. But part of what I did, John, which is why I think it's important for me to find that document right now, is I had put staff time in it. And because it's something that, John's talked about, which is either allocating staff time or getting staff, which could be an arborist, a contract arborist, or something like that to kind of, because what he said is when McCamus goes to become a tree city, there has to be a certain portion of its budget that is allocated to trees. So, part of this is how do we go get the state grants that are available that could be that budget on an ongoing basis in addition to, so I don't know what the thoughts are about that. John?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Because trees and materials, when I have a summary budget, trees and materials were 500,000. Events and education over the 10 years, the 160,000. Staff support was 263,000. Marketing over the 10 years was 65,000. So again, that was just the budget summary. I'm missing the more detailed document, and that's what seems to be like gone, and I'm not getting it back. But I did want to share this idea. I mentioned, so part of what I think on the kickoff, what you're seeing is a project I did in Mount Washington. And when we started talking about this 5th grade park of the city and how we'd just take all the green space and would make it into a park, people would look at us and go, I don't know what you're talking about. So we had an architect, Jonathan Klein. I asked Jonathan if he would create a visualization of what I'm talking about. So part of what I'd like to do, this fall, for the launch next year, is to do a visualization of what a restored tree canopy might look like. And it would be, we did it as a poster, but we really did this as handouts. It became the and obviously, ultimately, the park didn't get named that, but, but it was the concept that we were able to, people would go, oh, is that all like something that could be made into a park? And I feel like the same way about, how we might go about this. So, but I feel like what I came here tonight to do, and then I don't have adequate information to share with you, is to get kind of an approval on how we might go about a budget. And that budget might be too high. I once did the math on Pittsburgh trees at $40 each and what it would cost to do it. And then kept thinking, like, how do we do this where these are sponsored? Because as the Pittsburgh trees at $40 each include all the staking. But if there are sections like at the Arboretum where you're not necessarily.
It's something I threw out before, and I've talked with Brad about a little bit of, rather than relying on Tree Pittsburgh and things, we've got area over here and basically doing a greenhouse, and doing this on our own. We've got seed sources here. All is not that difficult to do. And it's something that you can then get a lot of community involvement with kids doing stuff and everything. So that's kind of where I am on sources of trees and things like that.
Well, so in talking with Danielle, they need another nursery. They're out of room in their nursery. So what I'd love to do is, figure out with them how to put a nursery up in the park area or somewhere up here, right? And maybe we have area, that you could do that. But, one of the things, I'm fine if you feel like there's energy to do that, but I made a promise to everybody that I would not create, programs that required, a lot of, I don't know, investment, is that the right word?
I'm looking at it as it's community involvement and educational stuff for kids and because a lot of our suburban kids at this point don't get their hands dirty growing things and understanding, the whole cycle of things. And so I was looking at it as a big education thing as well as a less expensive way to do things.
I'm with you, obviously,
Yeah, 'cause, just these numbers, I'll be honest, the council, you'll have some reluctancy for sure. But I like has there been consideration of involving the school district? Because when you're talking about a greenhouse, my brain is immediately going to the old Nike missile site off of, right beside Hozak. It's 11 acres that the school still owns.
Really?
That's not getting used for anything but overflow parking on chorus night.
Wow.
There's a lot of areas like that, and it's not that difficult to set up and to do.
But then
And-
you could tie in with the school there.
Yes.
Because it would literally, you wouldn't even have to bus the children. It would be a situation of walking
So Ken,
outside.
is that something that you wanna figure out how to get that?
Oh, my bottom line on all this is until we get the deer population under control.
Mhm.
it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I only
Yeah.
want to do 1,000 next year and not 5,000, right? So.
But it's really not that big of a thing to, you've got with AD Tech over there, you've got carpenters and so forth too. And then the plastic sheeting that's clear and all of that. I mean, it's not a far reach to
Yeah.
make it a community project and with those things, I'm willing to head it up. But I mean, when it comes to building the greenhouse, okay, carpenters,
Right.
Right.
that's theirs to do, kind of thing. But I think it's something that you can get the community involved and we can cut expenses.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that as something I would love to see happen. And if you think that could happen sooner, not later, then, even if you just, again, I would definitely work with you. I mean, part of what I worked out in this strategy plan were the key roles, and I saw it as there's kind of program chairs, but then there's community engagement leadership, and there's planting and stewardship leadership, right? So, and that's, I think, just to get us started. And so, obviously, planting and stewardship, I feel like kind of falls here. And I know we always kept talking about having Mark getting more involved in the community engagement.
Mhm.
So I know you can do that, but I think, how do we, do that broader? And I did find my list of all the people who want to get involved and help, like Elaine Malik and a few others. So I do think there's a lot of energy around doing it. But to your point, Trish, when I originally did this budget and made it equal over all the years, that's why this upcoming year I scaled back from the 3,500 trees that were projected for next year. And we're not paying for those trees. I mean, most of our strategy, just to share, because you haven't been here, I mean, the strategy is more about, how do we Tom Sawyer the community into doing it, right? So how do we educate the public and try to get trees on private property, right tree, right place, and then give them, so, Ken's ideal was we talked to all the nurseries, Lowe's, like everybody who's selling trees on our footprint, and get them to participate in some kind of, program where you say, I'm a McCandless resident participating in this. But, you have whole initiatives around scheduling and what we could do. And again, I apologize for, and I'm fine to send this once I,
Would you be able to create a folder in the Environmental Advisory Committee SharePoint and just add all of your?
I would love that,
Yeah,
because
then you have your
honestly,
backups too.
because what I was trying to do before the meeting when it crashed was I had all the files open. I was trying to put them into a PowerPoint, and that's when it crashed. So, because you're right.
If
I
you throw
had-
them there.
I know.
You can work out of that and create
Right.
PowerPoints and.
Yeah, because I do think, I mean, part of it, like this was, this is like the action plan schedule, I really see just focusing on spring and fall planting events, the tree adoptions, the tree sales, would happen those 2 key times, and all the other stuff is education, programming, the tree tenders we've talked about. To your point, can we do a training for McCandless residents that isn't always a tree tenders training, right? Where we just get community residents who don't want to spend 6 hours on a Saturday to do it, but would come for an hour and learn about trees, right? You could do that, right? But I think, those are the things that I see us being able to project. And yeah, I was hoping to, be able to, and again, I lost stuff from here as well. But I think part of it is not, you know, looking to launch until January, but I told John I owed him all of next year's calendar in October for the calendar.
Mhm.
So I'd like to be able to at least, you know, for those months of, you know, the plantings, be able to suggest that and get on the tree tenders training calendar for next year, with adoption. But I agree, we need a budget, and I probably need to, you know, maybe come back next month with that. You know, but maybe I can work with the staff and you, Trish, on what is realistic. Because I know these numbers scare everybody, but I also know that there is lots of money earmarked at federal, state, and private
Mhm.
foundations just for tree plantings or purchasing trees, so we really just need to tap into that. And
Bernie,
not obviously- yeah.
do you have a list of those by any chance and the amounts? Does that exist?
You mean how much to raise from where?
Like the amounts that are available and the things that we can actually apply for and that are realistic for us to get. Like, is there a a created list of those things at this point?
Well, so I met with Arvin's staff about it, and so, I mean, there's three that I started with Tree Pittsburgh, but as John knows from my meeting with John Schwend, I was upset because we missed all three deadlines this year to get that for next year, which is why I had to back off our goals for next year and backtrack, because I wanted to do, just so DCNR has like $100,000 grant. And there's one that, what's the name of the Parks Conservancy gets one every year. They're the one managing the Tree Vitalize grant, so we can apply to that just for tree plantings. And there's a third one in the community as well. But that's before we even talk to foundations that have funding for this, some of the private foundations. And some of this is working with, you know, the park and the Friends of the Park and what they're doing. But Ken's been good about trying to connect me with like Liz and, you know, her just having a clearing for 200 trees that we could land from West Penn. That means 800 trees need to be planted by the community, right? So we could do tree adoption, pre-sales, and just try to, you know, compel people to put them in. So
Well,
that's.
I think maybe since budget is kind of a priority type of thing at this point, maybe an action item for next month, in addition to hopefully you're able to just recover those files and that you have all of that stuff and that doesn't take you too long, but maybe starting to put together that list and those due dates so that we have a document that says, hey, look, we've got to be watching out for this. This due date's coming up. We've got these things to apply for. And then we can actually go through and say, hey, here's how much we can get in grants. Because I'm sure if we go to the council and say, hey, we need $1 million, they're going to be like, no. But if we go and we say, hey, we need $200,000 and we're going to get $800,000 from these grants over here, maybe then it sounds a little better, right? If we're like, hey, look at how much we're taking care of from outside of the money that we need from the
Well, that
town.
was always my intent. I knew McCandless isn't sitting around with $1 million to blow, so I mean,
Right.
I never anticipated coming up with that kind of request. So it would all be grant funded, those kind of requests. But you have to say, here's the plan of what I would do in order to qualify for the funding. So, you know, you at least have to say, it is our intention to do this. And that's why the number is what it is that way you can attract that kind of support. So as opposed to, if you give me money, I will plant, you've got to say, I have this goal, we're gonna do this, and then apply for the funding. So I did talk with a few of the legislative folks, and I have talked with DCNR and PADP. PADP has program funding, but DCNR Tree Vitalize is funneled through the Conservancy, but the funding that we just got for the parks is, there's one just for passive green space. And my larger concern is the conflict. There is an open award right now, the gaming funds from the state. But again, if I jump in there, and McCandless already has plans, but that's why John Schwend is saying, you know, give us a budget and let us figure it out when we're doing grants for the township. So, yeah, but I think next year, So those numbers did count, the addition over time of staff. But based more on what John Schwent has said, and maybe I can pull those out and let him make a decision about, when he pulls an arborist in, either on a contract or something like that. Do you have to allocate your time that way, John?
No, all my money is basically in the communications budget this day, so we don't need to worry about that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so if I pull that out, I mean, the staff support was, wow, pretty significant. So, yeah, if I just even pulled that out, it's several, well, a lot. I didn't, again, I can't believe none of these files saved. They usually recover the documents and anyway, yeah.
The thing about with this and whatever other programs is we're gonna be convening our committee of the McCandless 175 together.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't this be a neat thing?
Yeah.
To say, like our history is, we have a big tree on our logo.
Yes.
Just keep
Mhm.
going with those kind of things. With
Yeah.
the McCandless 175 too.
And that's part of what Matt and Ken have been working on is these legacy trees. And I don't know what month we want to earmark that for. I've tried in the meeting figuring out when is the official date for the celebration. And I heard there isn't one. It's
There
just
isn't
a-
one yet. They're trying to,
Yeah.
it's gonna be like year-long little things.
Yeah, there'll be small events and probably like a culmination of something like around community, like at Community Day.
Right.
Because we still don't have budget to have fireworks 5 times a year. I don't know. Maybe some people would like it.
One of the things with the trees is we have an old list of old trees here in McCandless, and it's just a matter of, for my preference, I'd rather wait until fall. It's a little easier to see the big trees that aren't
Right,
necessarily, but we have a list of some, and I'm sure that's not a complete list at all of, if when I'm looking around at trees, there's,
Mhm.
like at my house, one tree I took down 2 years ago, I got back to 1846 on it, and it's got brothers there that are bigger, so.
Wow.
One other question, did you have a chance to look at grants for rehabbing the house on the new part of Potter Park?
No, but we talked about that. And so it's the same pot of funds between DCNR, DCD. I mean, there's all these state funds.
I don't know if that house is even,
Yeah, yeah.
I've been in it.
Oh,
I have not been in it, so
and
I know the barn's coming down. And that house I could
I mean,
see.
the barn, I'm hoping they keep the stone foundation of the barn
Yeah.
and maybe build upon that because it is a beautiful stone foundation.
yeah,
The house, putting my realtor hat on here,
Okay,
I probably wouldn't.
I didn't.
I mean, there's a
really
lot
think
of, there's heart in it. There's heart and memories and a whole lot of stuff. But,
oh,
but I don't know that I don't know if it's a historically significant, it's an old house, it's an old farmhouse. There's, it's got all the attributes of an old farmhouse.
Yeah.
Kind of sideways, walking, narrow stairwells. I mean, you don't have to go in it to see the back board just completely mauled like by gunshot with the woodpeckers
Yeah.
and just,
The woodpeckers have.
and the woodpeckers and invite the flying squirrels and then invite, I would imagine there's critters inside there as well. It would be a significant task
Okay.
to rehab that into something
It's
usable.
just something is perfectly placed to be a nature center if it was reasonable to do,
Mhm.
and I hadn't been in it to have any idea if it was
Right.
reasonable to do.
I mean, I'd love to see something small like that, but the other part of that equation is where will people park?
mhm.
That's a huge part of our conversation with the parks planning is where will people park with all these things we
Where
want to
trails
do?
and where trails will be.
And like anything we do, it needs, you know, obviously accessibility has to be, you know, considered. And there's that, and then, you know, if you had a nature center, let's say you're having programming for 15 people, right now, there's not a place for 15 cars. You know, that's something that we have to think about too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good those sycamore trees are gonna do here as we go along too. They don't look real good to me.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Those were.
There's someone coming from the state.
Hmm.
End of August.
Oh, that one and the big white oak.
The big white oak is right where the spring comes out, everything that's an old tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure what day, but there is someone coming from the state to walk and point out significant trees and things like that.
Oh,
That's part of.
That's cool.
Ken already did that, right?
This is, I know we may be becoming a little bit redundant here. It's kind of what I'm hearing quite a lot of when we're talking about trees. But this is something from the consulting firm. It's part of what they're doing.
What
There's some
department of the
there's some
state?
interesting plantings that
I mean, I'd be curious to see your opinion and their opinion side by side to see what's going on, see where, you know, the value is, where the,
You know,
well,
what,
and it really depends on how the access is and everything, because it's a wide open thing right now. It's an open book and
right,
it's a matter of how we're able to do things as to what you end up doing.
right. And, you know, we have to keep in mind, like, things like Potter, it was deeded to the town for passive use only. So no active sorts of recreation can ever
Mhm.
happen.
oh, I didn't
Potter.
know that. It
Yeah.
does have a
Mhm.
restriction.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm actually happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Because I.
So, and there's a kind of a general feel that
Yeah,
the minor property will kind of follow in that same more passive, possibly trails, some birding, you know, that sort of thing, not, you know, there was one council person that started saying, oh, we could put a ballpark over here. I'm like, we're
right.
not putting any ball over there.
That's not
No.
an appropriate property for that.
No, not at all. So I think, you know, generally we're leaning toward, you know, my vision would be to have, you know, a trailhead that had a signage that said, here's a, you know, half-mile fully accessible trail. Here's something a little longer, a little more aggressive,
Mhm.
you know, and just have the loops. You know,
The other
kind of
thing
thing.
is that will connect with Vestal and that will connect to Wall, and then
Yeah.
we're looking at connecting with
That's what
Franklin.
we're hoping, yeah.
And all that.
We got this. Yeah, so here's our current green space, you know, we're hoping to get to the point where they do start connecting and connecting.
We needed that visualization. That's what we did, because those green spaces in Grandview were not connected, like around the
Right.
thing. So is there a visualization? of-
Well, that's part of what the consulting firm is working on,
I see.
is, you know, we look at these different places and say, you know, can there be a trail system from here to here? Like, here's the thing, like, we have this little lot right down here on the border with Ross Township. And it is,
I haven't been in that one.
well, because it's landlocked by private property.
Yep.
There's a lot, a middle lot and another lot. And a middle lot is owned by a resident who has a house on it.
Oh,
So you have these two big lots with a divider in the middle, and everything is landlocked by private residents.
Yes, you can't get to it. That's why I haven't been there.
So you'd have to go through someone's yard. So, but we, you know, we're looking at things like possibly, we could possibly do something, see something happening where we're connecting with some trails through Franklin Park, things like that, because we're,
Jack and I have talked about that.
I'll send these
yeah.
guys. Well,
So there's a lot, I mean,
yeah,
we're gonna be looking for more public opinion coming. There's gonna be more options for that. But hoping that there's a plan in place for parks by December.
oh, good.
So that's how the goal, so that's gonna come quickly. So,
Yeah, when is the, decision making on that happening?
Well, that's when they're expecting to present to council. So usually it takes,
And who does make the decisions on that?
well, it's going, it is kind of like the way I see it and understand it, I could be wrong, like the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Like they say, here's the information that was gathered. Here's what the community said at once. Here's some ideas to make that happen. Now, that doesn't mean that council says yes to all of it. It's kind of like we take it in advisement whenever we say, we're gonna put this much money toward the trees. Because it matches what this plan, it fits in this part of the plan.
Right, and I do think like when we got those, Penn Power, we need to get that commitment on how many trees, because that's what I don't know yet. But they do 20,000 trees a year. So I'm gonna get on their
Yeah.
calendar and make sure that we can allocate maybe in our own little parks.
Mhm.
Are there spaces for trees? Because they just want to see a big community gathering and volunteering. They don't want to see them go in neighborhood streets.
Gotcha.
So we could use those trees as an example for our own parks, right? And that way, the funds that we get maybe can go toward other things. But, so you're right, they all, between the 175th, the parks plan, I feel like the tree thing fits, and then to your
Mhm.
point, where you putting the greenhouse, the nursery, like everything else, right? So, yeah, so and I do think that's why I saw a need for more staff, because I don't know if the existing staff can manage what I think it looks like a lot of ambitious plans.
Well-
between that, and.
This is the first year we've had a full-time recreation person ever in this town.
Mhm.
2 years ago was the first time we had a part-time recreation person in this town, the history
Yeah.
of 5 years. So there's been a kind of a shift from administration and council to see that and to realize that our residents appreciate the value of our parks and our community, and the old line of, but we have North Park, we don't have to invest. That's old hat now.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I still
There's
think.
an awful lot of work that can be done on,
in North-
the existing Potter Park and Wall Park and
Mhm. Absolutely.
even in Vestal, but, a lot of that is restoration of our ecosystem and stuff, and
Yeah.
yes, that's a ongoing thing, and hopefully can get a lot of community involvement.
Right. Yeah, that's some of the issues that have come up from constituents, is talking about things like accessibility, like, yeah, I'd love to go to Potter Park, but how am I supposed to get there? You hear that, or Wall Park, I guess they have issues because of the ball fields. If there's two big games, there's not enough parking for people to come and watch their kids play, or let alone grandma in a wheelchair can't even come watch their grandchild play. So there were like those kind of things. Yeah, it's all part of the parks planning too, not.
All right. Well, this is a fantastic conversation, and I love this. But we do have some other agenda things that we need to move on to. So I want to table this for now. If we have additional time at the end of the meeting, we can come back to this discussion, because I think that this is great and we're getting a lot of questions answered. So I really appreciate that. So thank you, Trish, for providing the info that you have, because I think we don't have a lot of that info. So that's really going to be valuable in us.
It's a work in progress too, so.
Yeah,
it's-
right. Absolutely.
Nothing, nothing I say is set in stone, but it's
No.
what we're talking about.
And Jeff's
Absolutely.
on that-
Excellent.
He's on that committee too, so.
The one
Mhm.
that, yeah.
Any final words on the tree program?
I think, I think maybe, we've been working on this for as long as, since I've been here, right? But I think, what I'd just be looking for is some support. And I agree, I never wanted to propose any budget amount that we couldn't get sponsored or covered. But this is also why I see the need for additional staff, because as a volunteer who now, even while we're sitting here, $1 billion was allocated for the work I do. So, I know somebody just sent me a note, Merry Christmas. So I keep getting loaded up with work. So the time that I thought I was going to have myself to dedicate to it just keeps eroding with how much, my day job keeps consuming me. So I am hoping, whether it's because we can create more volunteer infrastructure for the tree program, and I do want to do that. How do we build that out in addition to, but I do think taking it on is going to require some level of staff, time. And I don't know, outside of John, who's going to be allocated to that. Is it going to be you? And do you have the?
It could be a mix of anyone, really, you
Yeah,
know,
but that's a question. Does the
yeah.
township have the bandwidth to do it today?
Okay.
Okay, who knows? Just
Yeah.
gonna depend.
All right.
All right.
Anyway,
Alex, that seems like a good thing to explore and to look into moving forward here. All right, let's go into community outreach. And we've got the deer presentation coming up on the 30th of September. So Ken, how's that moving forward here?
Oh, everything's in place for that. I'm not in charge of the publicity. John's doing all of that stuff and Mark is also supposed to be involved in that, but Janine will be here on 9:30 to do the presentation. I'll just, that is ongoing with what we've been trying to do with the PR pieces we've been putting out there, and we've been doing this for a number of years now. So it's what I'm finding, and I'll just go into the second part with the the deer management end of things. It's like when we were at the Master Gardeners thing, Jeff and I were there, and we must have had roughly 35 people that stopped, and virtually every one of them, all but one, was bringing up deer. And everybody is very aware that we have way too many deer. And all I can say at that point is that we are going to try to do a more aggressive management program this year. And so I'm finding that there's a lot of community support for that. I haven't run into the people that are against it, and I'm sure they'll be vociferous at some point.
Yeah, I met one the other day.
But that's part of the reason for having Janine come in, is that she's the person that can field any of that type of stuff from an authoritative position. So that's pretty much, what I have. We're going to continue with the archery hunting, and I think our paperwork is moving along to do the more substantial management program.
Great. I saw, I've seen some publicity and some stuff in the paper about the deer populations as well. So good to see that it's something that people are talking about and getting out there. Anything
seems
else?
to be all through. You've got Ross is going to be doing a call this year. The city of Pittsburgh is doing a call. Fox Chapel's been doing a call. So it's not like we're the only people out there looking at doing an increased management.
Yeah. And that's good, because if we were, I don't think it would be effective. if everybody's not doing it, you kind of have trouble, right? Because they just wander off to other areas. Garden in the Park, any additional things to add about Garden in the Park and how that went?
It's smaller than it used to be. I used to have my own table there for American Chestnut Foundation, and there's fewer participants in it, and you still get a good flow of people coming through, and the people that are coming through are all very interested in the various things that are there. The gardeners and Friends of North Park were there and so forth. So it's a good way for getting community involvement and some information out there, and I think it's a worthwhile thing to spend a couple hours at.
Great. About how many people did we have come up? Do you have any idea?
The best of just my recollection is we had extended conversations with about 35 people.
Oh, okay. That's great. That sounds good. Let's go to National Night Out. Melissa, how did that go?
Yeah. National Night Out was a big success, I thought. Jeff and I were there for the whole event. We actually had a lot more people show up than I was expecting. I would say we were pretty busy for most of the night. We have almost a full sign-up sheet of new names of potential volunteers that I'll be adding to that combined file.
Good.
Yeah, we had really great discussions. It was very worth our time to be there.
Good, good.
Any
That sounds
tree
good.
volunteers?
Yeah, a few of them marked trees. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Mhm.
And that feeds a little bit into our next thing, which is Community Day. I was gonna ask if there was anything that you did or that happened at National Night Out that you thought we should absolutely make sure that we repeat for Community Day this year. I'm guessing the sign-up sheet is definitely one of them.
Yeah, the sign-up sheet was very successful. We also need to ensure we have little rocks to hold down our paper because
Ah.
it blows away. We also had to use several zip ties to adhere our sign to post to the little.
I was gonna say, I saw at Garden in the Park, my rain garden sign needs to be windproof, so I will try to work on something for that.
That's a lesson learned. But really, as the environmental advisory committee, we don't necessarily even need all the pamphlets, so
Yeah.
that's a consideration too. But we'll definitely want a great activity to draw in the families for
Mhm,
Community Day. We were
mhm.
only talking at National Night Out. It was still good, but definitely not the same as what we want for Community Day.
Right.
Yeah. So, do we have thoughts on Community Day so far? Because I know in the past we've done a number of different things. We've had the art kind of projects that Dawn used to run. We've had the snacks that we provided with the cups of dirt, the little pudding cups, and we've done giveaways of different types of things. So, are there thoughts at this point as to what we want to have at our booth this year?
So I will say, I noticed in the email that came out, they don't want us giving out food any larger than simply a wrapped piece of candy. So keep that in mind if we are going the food route. They said it takes
Okay.
away from the food vendors who are there, so we can't be doing bigger treats. I personally thought the recycling game that you had going on last year was a pretty big success, and something like that could be fun again. But as far as actual crafter activity, Joanna, do you have anything?
I have a couple ideas. I don't know, I was gonna pick your brains because the biggest thing for it is like it needs to be accessible to everybody. And that's one of the things that was kind of successful about Winterfest was that you could adapt it for all different ages. So I had things there where for like up to 3, you take a glue stick, you rub it on with them, and they can color on directly on that for a way that they could help around the house. And then some kids could draw a picture, and then the older kids could actually like write something. So you could have that adaptation for everybody. So looking at something like that, you have to think, one, this one's going to be a very long period of time. So we're looking at, it starts at,
It's longer than usual.
It's
It's
longer
like
than
noon
usual.
to 8, where
Mhm.
last year it was 4 or 5 to 8.
right. So what could we do where we could have enough material so we don't run out? Because that's part of it. Like if you have to source a lot of materials for that many crafts and a lot of kids come to this. So how can you get enough so you make sure everybody can do it? It's accessible for everybody. Everybody feels like it's meaningful, it ties into something. And in a way, it's also sustainable because one of the things I didn't like about the dirt cups from last year was that it's a single-use cup, it's a single-use utensil, and then it all gets thrown away. So that's not really sustainable. It's just kind of a fun little snacktivity. So that's where I'm like kind of stuck on like what could work and I could actually like source that many materials for something. And I'm not sure, like the best thing is like making magic wands out of sticks, or I've done crafts before with like taking sticks and like you can use them for Christmas ornaments, but that's better even like with a glue gun. So we don't have access to that and I don't want a glue gun out there.
Mhm.
Maybe instead of the craft route, maybe we go more along the Q&A type game where
Mhm.
we have either a wheel or different categories that they can somehow choose. They get a question, and then if they get it right, we'd have to find little prizes to give them, but just something maybe gardeny or Matt, go
So,
ahead.
so one thing I'll throw out at you is you have to think about your audience for that, right? Because one of the things we've run into in the past is some of the things we've done with the recycling game, like it's too difficult for kids
Yeah.
and adults don't want to do it. And so
Right.
it's like, okay, where is our line here for like, what can we do that's easy enough that kids can still do it and be engaged? And I liked last year, The previous year we ran like a show and we had them all come up and we had people sign up and we had contestants and we did all kinds. Last year we basically just when somebody came up we were like, hey, you want to play a quick game with us? And then we just like kind of rotated through a lot. And I don't remember even what I think we gave away. I think McCandless
brought a
gave
lot
us a
of-
bunch of like bird feeders and stuff like that that we
It was a
wound up
mix of
giving
that
away.
and Toys that were given away, so I don't know where the toys would come from.
Yeah, well, I had brought some with me, but I mean, there aren't enough to do that all day, right?
Mhm.
There like I couldn't provide those, and I don't think that we have a much of a budget for things like that. So if we want to do just like candy or something, we can certainly do that. That's not my favorite thing to give away to kids, but
Mhm.
sticks, can we give away sticks, stones? What do we think? No,
We
no, kids.
As far as
Those might break bones.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as making a Q&A thing more game-like, we could set it up so we have a little, like a recycling container and a trash container, and we laminate just basic pictures of items and have them physically put it in, because then
Yeah,
it's easy for the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a lot of fun. If there is somebody who's able and willing to build that type of thing, that could be great. We also need to talk about people who can attend this thing. This is where I deliver the bad news that I cannot attend because I will not be available that day. So as far as running a game, I won't be able to do that. But are there people who are able to attend? Obviously, if we can do this in shifts, it's going to be better since it's a 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock type of thing, plus setup, plus teardown.
Jeff said that he can be there. I can be there for part of the time.
I was planning on being there the whole time if we're doing kid-related things. That's where I have
What
that
is the
background,
date of
so.
September
13th.
13th.
Yep.
And it goes
Yeah,
noon until 8,
Mhm.
so even if you could spare like 2 hours in there,
Yes, before season.
okay, so you can help a little. What about you?
Yeah, I could definitely,
Okay.
figure out what day part you need people to fill in on.
Okay, yeah, as far as timing, do we want to decide that right now, or should we maybe set that up by email so people can?
Do a sign-up sheet, maybe
Yeah.
email it might be.
Yeah. we
Yeah, I
better
think
one.
email is a better way to do that. Plus, then we can also figure out if we need additional volunteers. We are not getting our own volunteers this year. We're instead having
Unity.
McCandless is doing that for us. I can't remember. Abby, I believe, is the person who's going to be doing that for us. So we'll be going through her to get volunteers if we need them, but we haven't let her know that we do need any at this point. So we should figure it out soon so that we can let her know if we do, and then she would be able to fill for us if we need additional. So probably in the next week or two, we should figure that out via email.
Okay.
She'll be hitting up the school next week.
Yeah, because they start up.
The 21st, they start.
To send
Um,
a sheet around for us to sign up,
Yeah. we
if for
can-
like 2 hours at a time or something
Yeah,
like
we can
that.
send by email, or we can send out and say what times we are free, and then I can build out the schedule from there and have to do
Yeah.
that too.
And I would assume most of your volunteers that get recruited, majority are gonna be high school students. So
Mhm.
you're gonna make sure one of you are at the booth.
Yeah,
at
at
the
least
time.
one adult.
We have them, just do like a big container of dirt and teach kids how to plant trees.
That could be a fun activity.
Yeah, they could get their
So-
hands dirty and just do.
Yeah, have a couple little aprons, yeah.
Yeah, like,
We've got a fairly small spot, I believe.
Is it small this year?
but
Yeah.
that's it, it could be,
Barrel.
It's basically a sensory bin. You're basically making a sensory bin.
yeah,
It-
yeah.
Jeff, I think, was asking to be sure that he got an 8-foot table. So we're
Yeah.
not in a very big spot.
Mhm.
Would you, with doing that, would you let them keep anything related to
Well,
like? a
that's
little
what I was
plant or
thinking,
something?
because it'd be cool to do little pine trees, and then let them take them, but,
Cause from 12, maybe we only do that even for select hours in the day. We can have a sign up that says pine tree planting from 2 to 6.
yeah, or they just plant them, like they just learn how to plant them and then look at them and.
I mean, I can make a fake tree out of pipe cleaners or something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
true. You can plant the fake trees in this dirt thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, like I can make like a sensory bin type, like I
Yeah.
do that regularly, and usually it's rice and today was plastic dinosaurs.
And then as the kids are doing that, we could chat with the adult
Yeah.
instead of educating
Mhm.
that way.
That's fun.
And that was my thought, again, on the note of, getting the adults and the
Yeah.
tree planting, right? So, Yeah, but the big trees, could you not just find little, I keep thinking like little pine trees that are really tiny. I mean, Ken, you tell me.
Not gonna, I don't know where you get them. Yeah, the only place you're gonna, I don't know where you would get them.
Yeah, I also don't know what our budget is for anything like that to actually be giving those away and the pots that they're in or whatever it might be. So
Mhm.
I'm not
That's why I'm
sure.
saying we have
Maybe we
them
just
plant
give
them
out
there.
like native seed.
That's what I was
packs,
thinking, like if we
yeah.
could even get, I know like American Meadows has pretty fairly cheap packets of wildflower seeds. So we could look to see, depending on how many we want to try to get, it's not a terrible
All
idea.
to give out that, or will that just?
Fall's not a terrible time because a lot of times you want to put them down sometimes late fall into winter, so they come up in the spring. Because if you wait till spring, like wait for the snow to melt and everything, if we get snow. Like, yeah, St. Patrick's Day, but sometimes you want it to root sooner, so then you're missing some of them that could come up a little bit sooner, so. It's worth looking into.
Okay, would you be able to do that to look and see if there's a cost on that? And then if we can kind of get this, we do have another meeting before the actual event, but
Only
it'll
like
only be a couple of days before, so we don't want to wait until then to plan this, but we can at least at that point confirm everything is set to go and that we're all ready. So
Yeah,
right.
trying to put a little sticker on the wildflower packs, because just as someone with a bunch of kids and people bring crap home all the time, the more I touch, the more I see it, the more I'm reminded that you guys exist when I'm moving around on my counter. So slap a sticker on those that says.
And do we want to have some information at the booth about the deer presentation on the 30th as well?
Yeah, so we had a couple leftover flyers from that, and Jeff had made, he or his wife had made a little poster, which we'll have at the table as well. So that's already gonna be there, yeah. And
Only 118 spots.
Where's it? Is it gonna be in the powers room?
is it a limited capacity?
But you are gonna video, right? And put it on YouTube?
I imagine.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we could pretty easily do that. Like,
Yeah,
I imagine I'm gonna work that night and help Janine with her slides in the back computer, so I could run a Zoom then too and record it.
Yeah, and that could go on our channel.
Yeah.
You have a lot
Yeah.
of.
That's good.
because I feel like all the education events we start doing, like could, especially on the tree stuff, like if somebody doesn't think about it till year 3, I wouldn't want to have to repeat all the programming in the first 2 years, so I would love to have so I didn't know you have a YouTube channel, McCandless?
It's not YouTube.
Yeah,
well,
this
we
is on
have
there
a-
right now. Somebody's
Yeah.
watching it.
So
Somebody's
we
watching
have
it.
a channel that was,
A public meeting, it's broadcast?
No,
It's
it's not
recorded.
broadcast, but it's
Live.
recorded.
Yeah, it's recorded and it goes on our YouTube channel.
It does.
Yeah. Mhm.
This meeting,
Yes, this meeting, all of our committee, all of our public meetings.
I did not know.
Yeah, you can go watch all. You don't watch them the next week. That's what I go back and do every week.
You
I
don't
just
watch zoning when
I don't
when
even
zoning
watch
goes till midnight? Oh.
Say hi to who's ever watching the recording now. Hi, hello. There you go. All right, let's go on to open
Really quick, though.
initiatives. Sorry, go ahead.
Just as a quick recap from that, if everybody just wants to send me their hours of availability for that day, I can then make the schedule for that. Joanna was going to look into seed options and then,
Wildflower seeds, EAC stickers,
okay.
kid
then
stuff.
okay, so you're looking into the kid stuff too.
Yeah, I'll just
Okay,
handle
perfect. And then we'll
kids.
handle
That
the rest
doesn't
of
sound right.
activity communication for me now, is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
that sounds good.
Great, thank you.
Give away apples for apple.
Apples.
All right.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Giving out apples, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Public Works would be happy about that.
It's a bigger than.
The oranges went over really well though.
Okay.
No.
The thing says no, nothing bigger than candy.
Well,
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
very
Well-
small apples.
Yeah, little non-edible apples. All right, let's go on to open initiatives. The Potter Park walk recap. We talked a little bit about Potter Park, but Joanna, Melissa, did you have any things to tell us about that event?
Last time.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
We talked about that last month. I think that was a typo.
Yeah, it was on here, so I didn't want to
Okay.
skip it, but
Yeah, no,
I
we're
did think
good.
it was something that had already happened, so we'll
Mm.
just move ahead. Junior EAC member. So we have an application in. Yay!
Yay.
Came in mid-July, so I guess it kind of is working. We'll look and see if we get more. I know school is starting up, so hopefully we'll push a little bit more. Melissa.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, are you able to send out one more
Yeah.
social media reminder or something?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, all those direct emails we sent out, but I
Yeah,
didn't see our applications, but we'll see. There's still like a
You
week,
never know.
yeah, almost like 2 weeks left.
There's also that one individual, I forget her name, but she was at the National Night Out and she also had expressed that she will be submitting an application.
Okay.
So if she goes through that, we'll have at least two. And she was
Okay.
one of the individuals who helped at the roadside cleanup and was walking with me. So
Okay.
yeah.
It's
Potentially.
possible we get several on the last day because
Yeah.
it's the last.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we have seen that in the past. I know, and I'm not sure, Melissa, if you went over this last month or not, talking about the fact that we are accepting applications, we are going to review those applications, we're going to do those interviews. But if we do not wind up with a viable candidate, then we will not have a student EAC member this year. So we are hoping that we will, but we are not going to just take a student just to have a student. We're going to make sure that it's somebody that's wants to do this and has the time and the ability to commit to it, things like that. So that's the plan for now. Anything else to add to that, Melissa?
no,
Okay. All right. Excellent. Cool. We are already at miscellaneous. So September McMail tips. I don't think we have anybody scheduled to do that at this point. I don't think we have a topic right now. Does anybody have suggestions? You're not volunteering to do it just because you suggest a topic. So.
so in the past, the topics for September included light pollution twice. We had 1 year without an environmental tip. We had asphalt sealing or sealing. Yeah. We had signs and trash and phone book recycling. Those were the topics from historic Septembers.
Just as
Right.
repeating the light.
Light pollution again.
Okay.
Yeah, we could just pull one of those again. Unless, did you?
I mean,
That's when the birds are starting to migrate and stuff, so
Yeah.
that's appropriate for that.
and there's certain dates like in spring, there's a couple of weeks and like, is that what would be putting in there?
It's whatever, because I'm,
We could just recycle it.
yeah,
Can you remind me, when is Tree of Heaven?
flowering.
No, when do you kill it? Like,
I
what,
kill them anytime.
when is the optimal time to,
It's actually good to do that right now. You just go.
that's what I was
you just-
thinking.
You just hack around.
Are you
Well, that's
talking-
that's why I was saying is, should we put something out there? Like, is that a good time to say something about like how to identify and treat Tree of Heaven and why you need to do it that way?
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea at all. Something different.
I like that. I have a bunch. You wanna come to my house? No, go ahead, Ken.
I don't want to I don't want to have to do it.
Well,
They're invasive.
No, you don't want to write it.
Yeah.
well, again.
Would you like me to write it and then you check my work?
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's hack and throw
Right.
is what it's called. And
So
if you want to see them, this is a good time to do it because they're flowering right now.
Mhm.
And so if you get them now, they're not gonna produce seed to, like if you're on McKnight Road going north, right where the deer crossing sign is up in that hill, that steep hillside, you've got a whole Tree of Heaven's kind of unique in that it secretes basically a herbicide that keeps anything else from growing in where it is. So it's just a clump of Tree of Heaven there. Just as two real quick comments, I'm seeing a lot less lanternfly at my house
Yes.
this year.
I have a.
And I kind of been hoping for a couple of years now that it's gonna be like gypsy moth, which when gypsy moth first came in June, you didn't have any leaves on the trees. They were totally defoliated. And I actually had slid through a stop sign because there were so many caterpillars on the road, I slid through. But that doesn't happen anymore because the birds figured out that the worms were edible and the chipmunks figured out that the egg masses are edible. And it seems, I've been hoping that the birds have figured out that the lanternfly is edible, and it seems that they're down. And the other thing is I've been seeing monarchs at my milkweed at my house, so that's like today I saw two at one time, so I know it's not just one. Which is good to see too.
Oh, fun fact that I don't think it's a big mail, but it's all related to this, is that I saw it on my own milkweed and then I looked it up and it is a true thing that milkweed kills lanternflies. So if you plant milkweed in your yard, not only will you help the monarch population, and it's something that the deer don't really eat too much, but also when the lanternflies go to drink the sap from it, because it's toxic, it kills the lanternflies, which explains why I kept seeing dead lanternflies around my house. It's because they were drinking the sap from my milkweed.
That's what they nest on at my house.
Uh-huh.
And I see all the larvae, like I just killed about 2,000 larvae on one of the milkweed pots today,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where they're.
Yeah, and they're going there and they're gonna, I think maybe also why you're not seeing as many is because they're going to your milkweed, which is cool.
Milkweed's-
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I had heard that Penn State released a study in the spring that said that they determined that the lanternfly wasn't as dangerous to our plant growth as they thought it was, which I thought was great. But I also am glad that they far less. I've seen far less as well. So if it's whether it's the milkweed or whatever, or the birds or whoever it is that's taking care of it, good for them. We tried to destroy a bunch of them last year. We would put dish soap and water into squirt guns and go out and squirt them off the trees. My daughter was really enjoying that, so she's a little disappointed we can't do that anymore, but she's very glad that they're not around too. So that sounds good. My question about the September McMail tip then with the Tree of Heaven is, will that come out at a time that it is still good to be doing this, or will it be too late?
So it's fine, it's still gonna be during growing season, and
Okay.
what we're doing is cutting into the cambium and putting a herbicide in there, and that kills the tree.
Great. Okay,
It doesn't
perfect. I just
slow
wanted to make
back
sure we weren't going to be like telling people this and then it was going to turn out, oh, you got to wait till next year to do it or something like that. So that's great. Good stuff. All right.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
To our list.
All right, John, you're
Mhm.
going to talk to us about annual officer nominations.
Yep, so every September is when we reorganize EAC. So we're gonna select a chair and a vice chair. So this is actually kind of a good time for those present to think about, if anyone is interested in actually pursuing that, or Matt, if you want to continue to be vice chair, et cetera. This will probably be the last year we do it in September because they are going to change all the terms to January to December. So next year, we're probably going to hold off until January 2027. So,
Okay.
yeah. Again, we walk
Good
through the
to know.
process pretty slowly when we actually do it.
And that process is, as it has been in the past during the September meeting, we'll ask for nominations.
Yep.
That type of deal.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on any of that? All right. Start putting your resumes together. Report from town council. Trish, you got anything for us?
I'm not sure, we had a pretty light meeting this past week. I don't know if you have any questions of me. I'm pretty excited that the park study is really working, moving forward. But I'm not sure what else is happening that's, relatable or what you're interested in. I'm happy to share what I know.
So I have a question for you, Trish, about the survey that went out.
Yeah.
That's been closed. That's closed at this point, correct?
Yes.
Were the results reported? Is there going to be action on those items? Like what is kind of the next step as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, so that survey, it was recorded with the responses and everything. And the Heather from Patch Tech, that'll probably all come in the summary that comes, in the next couple of months. Because the way that Patch Tech usually does things is they do these surveys, they do the community meetings, come in and tell us they've had the boards outside, put a sticker on what's important to you, those kind of things, and they'll combine all that data. So it's not going to necessarily say 22 people want a dog park. It's gonna just it'll be listed amongst all the things. One thing that was pretty interesting that was shared with us the other night was it's from a national group that says based on the fact that we have 28,000 and some residents, we should have this many tennis courts. We should have this many playgrounds. We should have this much of XYZ. And it was pretty interesting because we are lacking on pretty much all of them. And it's probably from the history of having North Park and the schools and things like that. So those kind of things were pretty interesting to hear about.
So they didn't count, they are only counting ones that are provided and maintained by McCandless, not counting ones that are part of.
Ones
our
we
park. That's
have-
interesting.
Yeah, so once we have, because, there are some communities that even have like small little playgrounds, parklets as part of their HOA host them. You see that more in Franklin Park and Marshall with newer construction than you do in McCandless. But, there are things that we look at, like, for example, we have the ball fields over, like that are part of the Vincentian complex, but we don't own that land, but we maintain, so that's one of the question marks is like, how much do we invest? Yeah, it would be great to put some more trees along that one stretch, but should the town be putting trees onto somebody else's land that could be sold from under us next week? So, those are the kind of things that this park study is looking at. But in terms of the survey, I don't know that you're gonna get a whole lot of data points on it. It's gonna be more of a summary.
Which I think is valuable as well. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
good for us to be aware of and for things for us to be looking at too. So any other questions?
Just a comment on that. I mean, my argument's always been, we do have, the park, and it is a massive swath of our property, the land. And we do have La Roche. It has like a massive calendar of events, and CCAC used to have a massive calendar of events, all their adult learning. So I used to look at that and think, there's just so much to do in the confines of this small area.
Right.
Are you telling me they haven't taken all of the activities of all the groups?
We did take those when we did the comprehensive plan. That was included in there. But right now, the park study is looking on where town investments should be going.
I see.
So the town's not gonna approve something going onto La Roche campus. Right now, we're looking for the needs. Hearing what the residents are saying and what's missing and like looking at each park, like I was saying, parking is a huge thing at most of our parks. Right now, some accessibility features at even the ballparks. The ballparks are pretty well funded. They're maintained by these community groups that play there, but they have said, we'd love more access for strollers and wheelchairs.
I see.
And that's on town property that, so that's where you're gonna be seeing those kind of focus, more on what we can do.
Has there been any discussion on things like increasing walkways and public transit in the area so that we don't need parking at every single one of these parks in that way?
Definitely the long term is more like walking and biking to get to places. That has always been.
10-year plan
Yeah,
is to develop that.
and it is slowly happening, but it's very expensive. We just approved up on North Meadow, got a grant, so there'll be some sidewalks up there. I mean, that's not accessing park, it's accessing community and bringing them closer to shopping and things like that. But right now, getting even, so current zoning is there has to be sidewalks if you're building now. So, and that has been enforced. So for example, the property that used to be the YWCA on Thompson, right next to Beth Shalom Synagogue, the builder there kind of said, oh, it's too steep a slope, I can't put a sidewalk in. And council said, well, you're gonna have to figure out how to put a sidewalk in. And with some back and forthing, there is a retaining wall and there is a sidewalk on that property. So that's kind of, So whatever's building new is definitely being enforced that it has to be sidewalked.
They just planted inappropriate trees way too close to the sidewalk, right?
Oh, really?
But, you know,
Okay. I was just happy to see a sidewalk. And I'm happy to see the work of the sidewalk happening along 19 from like the Target area up to the flats too.
Oh, is that what's happening over there? I didn't even
Yes.
realize that was what was
Mhm.
occurring. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would connect that Oak Ridge neighborhood up into the flats. And the
wow,
new
okay.
neighborhood that is being built. I forget the name of it. Ridge, something Ridge. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Ridge.
The Ridge?
Something about a ridge.
Yes.
No Tree Ridge, I think is what it was called.
Yes. Well, they did say one tree. There's
Oh,
one property
okay.
that's like that one scoop out to
Oh,
say one.
See the pile of wood chips, the giant mountain
Yeah.
of wood chips from my neighborhood as you were looking down. It just made me sick every day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
More trees. We need more trees.
We do need one tree.
All right. Well, thank you, Trish, for your report. Appreciate that. We have a number of topics already on the agenda for next month. I'm assuming because Jeff wanted to talk about these, but he's not here. So we've got the officer nominations, the 2026 budget, McCandless 175th, Birdtown PA discussion, a regional EAC reboot, and the roadside cleanup date being established. Are there any additional things? I know that we want to add Community Day to that list as well to make sure that we're all prepared for that. Anything else that people want to add to next month's agenda?
No.
I don't think so yet. I'm sure it will come to us through the month.
Yeah, obviously, if you think of things, reach out to Jeff. He will add them and we will discuss them. Any other matters that people would like to discuss or comments or questions?
I think maybe, I hate ending the meeting, but, you know, we've had the Canadian smoke again, the wildfire smoke, and I feel like we talked about, the township putting an air monitor. But, I would love to, I don't know, see a way that and that maybe we always project it for fall McMail tips about how to, on those kind of bad air days, how would you keep your indoor air quality better? Which is not opening your windows and, kind of running your, I don't know, things like that. I mean, I've noticed the weather people, they were like, hey, might be a bad day for certain populations, and I'm looking and it's like 150 on the meter. And I'm like, what do you mean might be? Like, there's nobody who could walk out today who wouldn't be impacted by it. So I just feel the need to do a little bit more to, I don't know, just alert people to what they can do. So I don't know what it is. I mean, I know I did a training with a group called ROCUS, which is a free training for indoor air quality, but
that sounds like an October McTips.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
yeah.
I think you just volunteered.
All right. Yeah, all right. So, yeah, because I do think as long as it's dry, I mean, I think it's worse in the summer, but maybe.
Next June, it can come out again.
Right, I know. Well, and that's it. It's always
Like the McMail tip, I mean. You can-
yeah, no, I know. So we'll see if the Canadian, and the Western, wildfires are over by then. But, I do think it should go into the cycle somewhere, which is what can you do? Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not like they're not going to come back. So
yeah, I know. Every
we're
year
going to be
I'm like,
experiencing
well,
that for the rest of our lives. So
yeah, so
Definitely.
what can you do? All right,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Thank
no,
you.
I love it. That's great. Anything else? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So, Nate,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Then we shall adjourn the August meeting of the EAC. Thank